It is 6:42. We're going to call the hearing to order. Declaration of a quorum. We got 7 members present. Item C, receive a presentation related to the CSISD Texas Academic Performance Report for the 2018 and 2019 school year. Dr. Ely.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. We have before you a report for the Texas Academic Performance Report. It is a great deal of data that's been condensed for your review this evening. Just a reminder, we do have to put this information on our website, and there'll be a lot more information included with it when we publish that following the conclusion of the public hearing this evening. Just a reminder, it is a public hearing. If anybody would like to respond to this, have any comments, please fill out a card and turn them in to Carrie Horn, our clerk to the board, who's sitting right there, over there to your left. So with that, to take us through the 2018-2019 report is Mrs. Molly Perry, our Chief Administrative Officer. Mrs. Perry.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Ely, Mr. Schaefer, members of the board. As prefaced, we will be condensing a 26-page report down into a brief presentation and certainly providing the highlights and an overview, but the information is certainly going to be available online, and if you do need additional information or more in-depth discussion, we can certainly have an opportunity for that as well. So the TAPR report is a compilation of information. There's much academic performance information included. In fact, half of the 26-page report is specifically related to students' performance on STAAR. We also add in additional information about financials. The report incorporates demographics of our staff and as well as information about our programs and student demographics. So in addition to STAAR, we're looking at things like attendance rates, dropout rates, profiles of our graduates through multiple lenses that we'll look at this evening and really highlight and focus upon. And then, as I mentioned, the student information as well as staff demographics and program information. Additionally, what is not included in this report but is required to be compiled by the district and reported upon publicly are our PEIMS financial statement records, our accreditation status, we are accredited, our campus performance objectives, which are incorporated into each campus's improvement plan, our special education determination status, and our report on any violent or criminal incidents, and our students' performance once they do leave us and attend a post-secondary institution after their first year. So we pull all that information together and compile that in report in addition to what's published by the state in the TAPR. So, as I mentioned, there's much information about STAAR, post-secondary readiness, and our demographics, but the other component really is that public report. So this evening, as part of that, we have the online publication, and then we'll be notifying our parents of the availability as well. So we spent a significant amount of time really reviewing our STAAR results and accountability back in September. And so this evening I was not going to repeat that information. That's been out there and available and discussed quite a bit so far. But just as a reminder, at the all students level, our students here in College Station ISD exceeded the state average performance at every level in every subject with one exception. And as you may recall, that is our 7th grade mathematics. And we do have a bit of an outlier situation there with over half or 437 students, to be precise, not taking that 7th grade exam. The population was certainly skewed because we have such a large percentage of our students participating in advanced mathematics courses, not taking the grade level assessment specifically in 7th grade. So some areas that we're continuing to focus on, you'll see reflected in our district and campus improvement plans and ongoing conversations surrounding, including some of those special population, our students who are African American, Hispanic, those who are learning English, those with disabilities in special education, and students who are economically disadvantaged. We see dips in performance levels that we'd like to continue addressing and working on. We're seeing some gains there, but definitely still room for improvement. Additionally, through the lens of the current accountability system, we saw at the elementary level that academic growth from 3rd to 4th grade in the way that it's measured by the state is an area that we also need to improve, which was reflected in the improvement plans that we looked at several months ago. So I'd like to really highlight and focus on the post-secondary readiness component. Just looking at the profile of our class of 2018, which you may be wondering, we have a class of 2019. This data is in arrears, so thinking about graduates, we're really looking at the class of 2018 here. We had 910, which was an increase of about 50 students from the prior year. Our graduation rate relative to the state is very strong, with 94.9% of students graduating in 4 years. You might notice next to that the dropout rate is 1.1%. That doesn't add up, right? Because we do have some students that do require some extended time to be able to graduate, as well as students who require extended time to work on IEPs related to their special education services beyond the 4 years. And so we would never anticipate that rate to be 100% because we know students have specific needs like that. Looking at college, career, or military readiness, this is also looking at that same lens of accountability that the state has designed in the existing system. There are 11 different criterion that students can meet in order to be college, career, or military ready. Things like AP exam performance, performance on SAT, ACT, licensures earned, students in special education who are workforce ready. So there are a number of ways that students can attain that, and we saw growth both here in the district as well as across the state in our CCMR, or college, career, and military ready graduates. Then looking at advanced or dual credit completion, this one is a little bit misleading because we do have many students that participate in advanced courses. However, it is a very prescriptive list of certain courses that students have to complete in order to be counted in this particular criteria. So our rate is actually a little lower than the state, but as we go through, you'll see that that's probably not anything to be terribly concerned about because we do have really great participation in our advanced programs as well as performance. So looking at the rate next of those graduates who are considered to be AP grads, they've taken and met the criterion on at least one AP exam, we do very well relative to the state with just almost a third of our students meeting that criteria. College ready is a little different than college, career, and military ready because that is a very academic focus. These are students who have met that criteria on ACT, SAT, or TSI, students who have met the criteria on AP exams or completed dual credit. And so with that more academic focus lens, you can see that our students definitely exceed the state rate for college ready grads. Then conversely, with our CTE coherent sequence grads, or those students who have been in a coherent sequence of CTE courses, taking 2 or more courses for 3 or more credits, we definitely lag behind the state there. And so you can just kind of see the profile of our district. We tend to have more students participating in the advanced academic side. That is something that we're looking at, though. We have strong CTE programs, and we want to make sure that our students are well aware of those and that we're strengthening those. I'd like to highlight advanced placement. You may have seen the press release recently that we are 6th year in a row now highlighted for the AP Honor Roll, which is quite an honor. Very few districts across the state and nation are selected, and that's not only for our performance on AP, but also participation. We have very good, strong rates of participation across student groups. You can see there a third of our students in 11th and 12th grade participated in exams. And then the highest rate of participation really is in English, with then social studies, math, and science coming next. But overall, what we really are very proud of is that almost 79% of the students who took those exams met the criterion of 3 or higher, with a state rate of just 50%. So something we're really wanting to highlight as well. Then looking at other types of standardized assessment performance. For the 18-19 school year, we had 73.5% of our students take either the SAT or ACT, which is very similar to the state rate. We're seeing higher participation rates overall, not just in Texas, but across the nation as more students take the test. Where you see a significant difference, though, is how our students perform. Looking at that TSI criteria, 72% of our students met that relative to the state rate of 37.9. Our SAT as well as ACT scores both went up with this cohort year over year, and were also both higher than those state averages. So then looking at our staff and student profiles, based on October 2018 snapshot, we had 13,453 students enrolled, which you may recall was a slight dip from the prior year, as we've talked about that anomaly year. And we are seeing certainly an increase this year, but for this particular year, that's where we were. And then attendance rate is reported for grades 1 through 12. We had strong attendance relative to the state, and that's been a very consistent number for us in the past as well. So looking at our students by ethnicity, you can see we continue to have just a little over half of our students who are reported as being white, with the next highest percentage as Hispanic, then African American, and several other components. We've seen a slight trend of an increase in Hispanic students over the year, with a decrease in the overall rate of white students, but we've seen pretty high stability in the other areas, such as African American. Looking at special populations, you can see here the largest percent of students that fall in this particular category are those who are economically disadvantaged, as well as those who are at risk. We've seen growth in both of those areas. This year we saw especially large growth, which you'll see in our next TAPR report, in that particular area with the expansion of pre-K. Where we've also seen a lot of growth is in our special education population. At the time of the 2018 snapshot, we were at 10.7%. We are now over 12 and moving towards 13%, which is a trend that's consistent with what districts across the state are seeing as well. Thinking towards our staff, we had 1,870 total staff, primarily, of course, made up of teachers. That's our core business, right? Instruction. And then you can see the breakdown of other areas such as auxiliary, those professional support folks, which would include both campus and district-based folks who are supporting that instruction in the classroom. Looking specifically at our teachers, we are very fortunate to have a staff who are not only very good, but also experienced. We have just under a third of our teachers who hold an advanced degree, with our average year of experience being 12.8. And our turnover rate was 14.5%, which is slightly below the state average, and certainly is always something that we're looking at, but know that that rate includes not only those teachers who have left the district, but those that may have moved into non-teaching positions. The majority of our staff have over 11 years, and in fact, 70% of our teachers have at least 6 years of experience. So we feel very good about the fact that we have staff with experience that can help support our students in their learning. With that, and as mentioned at the beginning, we do have the results available on our website under the accountability section. And with that, I would open the floor to any comments or public comment.
Questions?
Any questions? Item D, Ms. Horn, did you receive any public comments or cards? Okay. If there's no questions, no comments, this hearing is ended. Adjourned.
Just a reminder, we have a regular board meeting at 7 o'clock, which I believe is like 4 minutes from now. Okay. Thank you.